All right. Hello, everyone. We are back. U.S. Championships Day 2, Round 2. Action
Hello,
already
everyone.
underway.
We are back. U.S.
Lots and lots
Championships
of
Day
interesting
2,
matchups
Round
today.
2.
How's everyone doing? What's
Action
up,
already
Kaylin?
underway.
Sweet Blues.
Lots and lots of interesting
How's the
matchups
chat?
today.
We got
How's everyone
Twitch
doing? What's up,
going,
Kaylin? Sweet
YouTube
Blues.
going.
Lots and lots of
How's the
interesting
chat?
matchups today. We got Twitch
Some big
going,
games today.
YouTube
going.
How's the chat? We got Twitch
Some big
going,
games today.
YouTube going.
Oh, hold on. Thank you. All right, I think that's good. I probably have the stream playing somewhere, yeah? Okay, there we go. That should be fixed now. Thanks, Fisher. Okay, so what's going on today? We have Fabi against Andy Woodward. Game of the day. Fabi taking on the youngster. And let's see, Levon against the Wonder. Another big matchup. Levon is co-leader with Fabi. One nice game against Andy yesterday. Now Fabi trying to make it 2-0. Fabi also won very nice game yesterday against Oparin. I mean, he just played amazing. I feel like he just played such a nice game. And Oparin today, I don't know if you guys saw, he used the same opening Fabi tried against him. Something makes me feel like Hans is going to be better prepared today. But okay, this is the Fabi game. So he started with c4. Oh, did I see Zatonsky's endgame yesterday? I didn't look at it too closely. No, I didn't. So I didn't. Most of the games I didn't like run through with an engine. I just kind of eyed them optically. I did check maybe one or two games though. Cody. Playing World of Warcraft instead of doing tactics. What do I think? I think you're wasting your childhood. What do you want me to say? I think you're wasting your childhood. With these games, with these games. Got to play some chess. That's the real stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Everything in moderation, yeah? So, c4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, e3, knight c6. Now Fabi played this very unusual move, queen to b3, and bishop c5 from Andy after 9-minute think, and now Fabi's been thinking. So queen b3 is atypical. Normally white is playing, maybe putting the queen on c2, or playing knight f3, or a3. Basically white is playing reverse Sicilian. This is like kind of Taimanov Sicilian. Yeah, if we just imagine e4, c5, let's say here. This is the setup that black is playing. So imagine it's black to play in this position. Queen c7 is a normal move. a6 is normal. Knight f6 is normal. d6 maybe even. Queen b6 though, kind of weird. Queen b6 is a kind of strange move to play. But that's basically what he's done. Instead of more typical queen c2, queen b3, knight f3, a3, this kind of thing. So, I'm not quite sure what the idea is. Of course, there are always advantages. Like yesterday, Fabi also played like this very tricky queen c2 and then bc3 against Oparin. Basically got the guy out of book and then managed to, well, he still had to play extremely well after that. But once you get your opponent slightly out of book, that's when they're more likely to go wrong and start making mistakes. Now, queen b3 does stop d5, yeah, Fisher says, which is definitely a good point. And maybe it makes bishop b4 slightly more awkward after knight d5. But it's hard to say what the queen is like doing here, or white how white's going to follow up in terms of his development. So Andy plays like most logical move, bishop c5, because generally you'd want to play like a3, b4, and challenge the bishop. But Here, of course, that plan doesn't really make sense. So we'll see. We'll see how Fabi uses this one. And now Fabi's been thinking. So bishop c5, either he didn't look at it too carefully, or he doesn't remember what he wanted, or he has options and he's choosing between options. So Fabi now he's been thinking for this one for a little bit. Yeah, Fabi is often finding new ways in the opening. I think he's one of the best at the top of like finding new ideas and stuff. Even if they're like not very good according to the engine, he's just good at finding lines that are less explored but still have some venom to them. And yeah. I mean, Queen C2 yesterday was like very, very, very typical. Like that's been classic for hundreds of years. But his recapture B takes C3, that was very unique. Okay, so he's thinking here. Definitely want to keep a big, big eye on this game. And let's see. So we have Levon against the Wonder. This is like a very classical Queen's Gambit declined kind of situation. So bread and butter position for Levon as a D4 player, like lifelong. He's had these structures many, many, many times. Wonder not as much experience, but I'm sure he knows these positions quite well also. So he's probably fine. Black has gone for this modern approach where they offer the trade of dark sword bishops. White can't really avoid it. And now we get this classic Carlsbad structure where, okay, usually white has two main plans here. One is to push b4, the so-called minority attack, and the other is to bring the rook to e1 and play for f3, e4. So with rook a e1, Levon makes his intentions pretty clear. He is probably going to play for the f3, e4 plan. His next move, maybe knight c1, knight b3, and then f3, e4. Maybe king h1 he'll start with. And yeah, black also has to figure out what he's doing, because if he brings this knight back, then he allows white to play knight to g3 and f3, which is more active. Black plays here, and then his knight on h5 is a little suspicious. And at a certain point, white can also, you know, just start pushing on the queen side as well. So lots of ideas here. Definitely, I think, I feel like Levon probably pretty happy with this, because there's a lot of room to outplay the opponent here. Andy is, I think, 15 or 16 years old, but yeah, he's one of the youngest grandmasters in the US and just super, super talented. He's like 2,600 FIDE. He's Puzzle Rush World Champion. He had a very, very good Grand Swiss recently, so he's definitely on the rise. He's super talented. I remember him from way back in the day, so I've known him for many years now. And yeah, he's always been a very, very promising prodigy. So it's very cool to see him like I remember him, he was in the US chess school classes and just like solving puzzles like a machine, just like super, super fast, solving everything, like super quick on the analysis. And then I played him a couple times and he like destroyed me. Like I could just like feel like the power, you know, the calculation power is that. So, and people have been talking about him for a couple years now, so it's no surprise. So yeah, this is his first US championship. He, I believe got in by winning US Junior earlier this year, US Junior Championship, which he won ahead of Mishra and like other players. And yeah, now he's playing his first US champs and getting tested. I mean, he already got tested in the Grand Swiss. He did amazing. Now he's getting tested here. A lot of times young players, you know, they have these good results because players, you know, still are trying to beat them and they're more willing to take risks against them because they feel like, you know, you got to take risk to win. Then they get punished. But now, you know, once people kind of get used to you and they realize they got to take you really seriously, then of course it becomes much harder. Like yesterday, Andy had a very tough game against Levon. Levon just like really kind of muscled him with black, I would say. Got him into this end game and just like quickly put pressure and outplayed the kid. It was a very tough game. Today, Fabi is also trying to bully him a bit with this early like opening nuance, but we'll see. I mean, the good thing about Andy, what's going for him is that he's just an incredibly strong chess player, like very, very good calculation, perhaps not worse than a lot of the players in the tournament. And what else are his strengths? I mean, he understands chess, of course, very deeply, but I feel like his calculation is just on another level. And he's willing to play dynamically too. I feel like he's willing to take risks, and it's really strong. What's up? We got Jake. We have Hockey Chess Dude. Hello, hello. What's up, guys? Happy Monday. Let's see. Shanky's position looks interesting. Ray's position looks interesting. Got Mishra against Sevian. Are David or Jesse joining? I think maybe. I'm going to put it at maybe. David wants to join during the weekdays. But I think he might be busy today. But I'm sure he'll be joining at some point throughout the tournament. Let's see here. So, okay, Oparin against the Moke is pretty interesting. So Oparin repeats the Queen C2 A3. But this time Hans, he castled instead of D5. So yesterday we had D5 and then C6, B6. This time Hans plays it differently. He castles, goes D5 and C5. So kind of more traditional. Oh, that's right. It's no school today. For some reason. Why is it no school today? Why no school today? Knight C6. So E3, normal. Knight C6, also, I would say, very normal. And now D takes C5. And oh, it's Columbus Day. Thank you. Christopher Columbus. E5. A4, bishop G4, and this is the live position here. So this one is very chaotic from the get-go. E3, knight C6, and then he decides to take on C5, which is always a difficult decision. And E5. A4, now bishop G4. I feel like both players are out of book because they've both spent some time, but they're still playing like pretty quickly and sharply. So E5, A4, just kind of like opening up the bishop, getting some space. Hans develops, and now Oparin is thinking here. Prof is already baffled by BC3. That's the new trend. I don't know if you saw yesterday's games, but Fabi beat Oparin yesterday with the same Queen C2, B takes C3 setup. So he decides to try it today. But here, of course, Hans plays it differently. Just goes for activity. And now, yeah, we got this. Bohu was asking if the triple pawns are bad. Well, yes, but you have to remember that one of these is an extra pawn. So, yeah, it's like, okay, triple pawns are bad, but if one of them is an extra pawn, then that's good, right? So that so it's like, it just means the extra pawn is not that valuable, but it doesn't mean that white is worse. So you could say this pawn is extra, and then these two are doubled, but then this one is going to get traded off as well, right? So what I would say is that the structure is very dynamic because there's a lot of tension. So these pawns are probably going to get traded. And the thing is for white, white's got the bishop here where white needs to develop. Like king is still on E1. And black is ready to just play like D4 and just kind of open everything up, which would be disaster. But he should be fine. I mean, normal move would be like bishop e2. What else might he consider here? This bishop doesn't really have an obvious square just yet. Because the bishop can just sit on e1. Like if black tries to play queen e7 and win back the pawn, then we hit them with bishop a3, right? So the bishop can kind of sit here. So bishop e2 would be my main expectation. It's hard to imagine another move. I mean, c takes d5 maybe is a counter move as well, but it doesn't feel like a move white wants to play because that would just kind of let black develop a bit more. Okay, so Oparin here under some questioning as white. That's always a bummer. You lose to a line, then you play the line yourself, and then your opponent's ready for it now, and then you're like, oh, okay, I don't know what do I do here? So if you get in trouble with the same line, then you're just like, oh, man, can't get nothing right. I mean, I think the idea of bc3 is kind of just to like take towards the center and strengthen things. And yeah, we talked a lot about yesterday, like queen c2 and then taking bc. It's very strange. It's very strange, but sometimes that's how trends develop. Is someone just comes up with an idea, it's kind of fresh and interesting, and then others decide to play it because it's not analyzed to death and people haven't totally figured it out yet. So you have chances to outplay the opponent. Okay, now Mishra versus Sevian is like Theory City. Mishra 4 minutes extra on the clock. Just curious. This looks like Catalan, and indeed. So knight c6, black has many different moves here. So we'll skip past the theory. Queen d1, e3. So black still has this extra pawn, but white is going to try to win it back. a4, knight a5. Black says no, you're not. Knight e5. White says yes, I am. Black says knight d5. Well, you can take now, but then knight c4. I think there was maybe some tactics like knight c3, bishop b5 with the pin. So tactics are on, guys. Tactics are, we saw yesterday there were some tactics, so tactics definitely on for the tournament. Players have been warned. So knight d5 gives back the pawn in an interesting way. Bishop h3, queen f3. Clearly some theory because it was played very quickly. And takes here, take. So very sharp stuff. Okay, so here bishop h3. White could have gone bishop g2, but instead he plays queen f3. So just some forcing variations here. Bishop takes rook, takes on f7, takes back, knight c6, queen h5, threatening a mate in one move. Black takes on e5, d takes e5. And now we have this position. So white has sacrificed the exchange, but he has some very strong pawns, especially this kingside pawn mass is pretty annoying. So you can push e6, f4, he's got rook d1, this pawn is hanging at some point. Tricky position to evaluate. I mean, I guess white is doing at least fine because Mishra, he's gone into this very quickly. So this is clearly his preparation. And yeah, it feels kind of unpleasant for black, right? Because you can kind of shut your bishop in with e6, and that dominates some of black's pieces. And then you can think about slowly pushing, like f4, f5. So very interesting prep for Mishra. I mean, his next move is probably just bishop c4, if allowed. Like if he can just take, play b3, solidify the bishop, you go e6. It's really nice compensation. Oh, Levon did something very interesting. So Levon, we had knight f6, and he goes knight d1. So clearly preparing f3. He wants to defend this guy, and then he's going to maybe bring this guy around and go e4 like that. So this could get really unpleasant for a wonder. Because when white starts rolling in these positions, it can be very, very nice. And Levon, very, very good also in these situations. Okay, so Fabi continuing his reverse Sicilian here. He goes g3, just breaking every rule, right? Going e3 and g3, but okay, this is fine. This is pretty normal, actually. D6, and now a3. So with a3, he's basically saying that at some point he's just going to drop his queen back to c2 and play b4. Because queen wants to be on c2, pawn wants to be on b4, bishop wants to be on b2. Like white's entire position is begging for this b pawn to move. So I think he's saying that, like, okay, he's willing to spend this tempo, but he's given black this he's kind of walked black into this setup, which is maybe not the best against white's like English approach. Here, knight e2. Eventually, white tries to maybe even play for d4 and fight in the center. Maybe a3 was played to prevent knight b4. Maybe. Sometimes knight b4 is annoying in these positions. I'm not sure. Because I feel like you could go bishop g2 and knight b4 and move your knight somewhere, but yeah, to me, I don't know. I don't see the future of the queen on b3. So I really feel like at some point black is going to castle, and eventually white's going to pull this one back and just kind of revert to this b4 plan. And black could play a5 to stop b4, but then white just goes b3, bishop b2 anyway. And yeah, eventually I think tries to play for like a d4 break. I think it's a good choice. I think actually a lot of potential for Fabi here to outplay Andy, because the structure I think is very very complicated. Okay, let's see who else. Aha. Okay, so Grigory plays bishop a3 here. So he tries to hold on to the C pawn. And he says, go ahead and take on c4. I will recapture, no problem. And he's also saying, go ahead and play d4. I don't really care. But d4 to me would look really scary. Just leaving white with these weak pawns. And trying to open up the e-file against white's king. So if d4... I don't really see such an obvious approach here for whites. So I definitely don't want to take twice and let everything in. Black could have also taken on f3 and played d4 too. I mean, what is white doing here? This feels like a dream Caruana for black. What do you guys think about this? So if e4, then dc3. And knight d4 coming. Feels like knight's origin for black. I mean, I gave up on playing Nimzo from white's side. I used to play into Nimzo. I played queen c2, e3. I tried knight f3 a couple of times, but I gave up because like so many games I had where my king side ends up being undeveloped and then black is just getting, you know, the horses to jump around and it's like super, super unpleasant. So I'm not really sure what's happening here. c6. Okay, c6. Definitely good move. Definitely good move. Let's say here, take, rook b8, rook b1 maybe. Even this, I'm not really sure what's happening here. Just because white is still having a hard time to get the king safe. But maybe black doesn't have to allow c6. Maybe even queen d4 to me feels like a really interesting endgame for black. Hello, Houseline, how are you? So takes knight d4. And then everything is kind of hit. So this is live position here. So I would strongly think about taking and going d4 or d4 right away. I'm not really sure. We can think about it. I feel like Hans is clearly thinking about it. You don't like playing against f3 line. But f3 line, I feel like black has so many options. Rach Angel, thank you for the raid. Hello, hello. Welcome, folks, welcome. We are watching US Championships, day 2. We're discussing Nimzo Indian. This is a game between Oparin and Hans Neiman, which is actually a funny opening because it was the same opening that Oparin faced yesterday against Fabi Caruana. And now he tried it against Hans. But actually, I'm not really loving his position. I was thinking here, black can either push d4 right away. Or take on f3 and then push d4. In both cases, it feels like white is, to me at least, it feels like white is under some pressure. Now white is up a pawn, but position is just kind of sus. Maybe this one is not so bad. Maybe bishop e2 white plays. And then just plans to castle and put the king on h1. And it's not so easy for black to deliver checkmate. But I do think that with the structure, black is doing totally fine. Yeah, we're talking about Nimzo f3 line. I feel like against the f3 line, black has options to play like solidly, or you can play like very dynamic with like c5, d5, and b5, like pawn sack line. I don't know. I would revisit it because I think you... Well, I don't know. Maybe latest theory has changed and now it was... now white's putting some pressure in the f3. What about castles here? Maybe. To me, it feels like the queen side is just very, very open. Queen a5, I would try. Perhaps. Maybe take somewhere. Maybe take... No, sorry. Take. Okay, gotta move the queen. I was like, queen a5 hangs the pawn. I gotta take first. Queen a5, maybe white takes twice, yeah? Then I'm actually not sure if we can break through this clump. I'm skeptical, but I don't know. I mean, maybe there is still like... To me, even this feels pretty double-edged. I'm not really sure. Let's see, how else could black... Maybe black starts with rook c8. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not so easy. Maybe white can get away with this, or maybe even bishop e2. So maybe black just goes d4 first. Now if you castle, there's like e4 you have to worry about. So here's live position. See, other than d4, does black have any moves? You don't want to play too slow and let white get bishop e2 in. Need a napkin. All right, guys, snack update. We finished the rice bowl, we finished the chips. Now we're on to the probably onto the kettle corn next. Okay, so Han's tanking basically. D4. Okay, Fisher is suggesting takes and then castle. What could black do here? It's kind of annoying. If white can take on d4, then white would have some nice pawns. Let's think. Maybe queen c7. So my idea is that if takes, there's going to be a queen f4 check. It's really chaotic. I feel like we don't like our king here. So take, let's say take, check. And then if not queen d2, maybe knight d4. And if queen d2, queen takes f3. It's this one and this one. Super complicated. Maybe bishop d3 you have to play, but then knight takes d4. And then yeah, this looks like it's kind of falling apart for white. So maybe queen c7. I mean, there are other moves. Rook e8, queen d7, rook c8. So we have the building moves and we have the hero moves. We'll see what Hans goes for here. What's the engine eval? We don't know. You know, as a watch party, we're kind of just following along with the players, you know, sweating them ourselves. It's kind of more interesting this way. Sometimes I'll check occasionally, like after a game or later on, but during the commentary, I feel like it's actually less fun. Okay, we have changes with Levon. So knight d1. I wonder went back, knight d7. Very interesting. So he plays here knight df6, knight d1, and then he goes back, making room for this knight. Levon goes f3, c5, takes, queen takes. So black executes the c5 break, which is very standard when white has played f3 because now e3 is weaker. But Levon goes ahead and takes, queen takes c5. And now he's choosing between trading or keeping the queens on the board with queen d2. I would think queen d2 is more ambitious here, but I'm not sure if it's objectively better. Maybe white should go for the endgame, or at least consider it. Bishop c2 and then play against the isolated pawn knight d4, knight c3, or white can play queen d2 and then play against the isolated pawn with knight d4, knight c3. And generally against the IQP, you want to keep the queens on the board because you have an extra heavy piece that can attack the pawn. Or you can play knight d4, yeah, and allow the endgame like this. So queen c2, bishop c2, and then you'd have bishop b3. Which seems kind of nice for white. Knight comes back to c3, and then black will be under pressure. Though probably it's a defendable position for black. Because black has one weakness, but white also has a clear weakness, and maybe white's weakness is a little bit easier to defend, but not that much. And black still has some very healthy development to follow. So I feel like a wonder should be okay. But queen d2 feels like maybe most ambitious move. Or maybe he can put a knight on c3. d4. Maybe take. But black is probably fine there. So queen d2 feels like the most ambitious thing Levon can do. Okay, Fabi and D. On still thinking. All right, let me check in with the women's championship. Oh, let's see. Tatev here. Okay, Tatev playing Carissa today, who Carissa, by the way, lost yesterday. So that was a huge result for the women. Carissa losing as the top seed and defending champion. But today, Tatev plays 4 knights system, pretty quiet. And they get a nice dull game. Rook b4. Knight e2. c3, rig d1. Okay, pretty basic position. Both sides still have improving moves to make. So we're going to see like rook e8, bishop e6 from black, maybe c5. And white's going to kind of build up as well. Rook d2, rook fd1, rook e1, maybe c4 somewhere. Typically, that's white's main idea. Try to kind of chip away black center. So it's a very, very small plus for white, but generally black is pretty solid here as well. Anna Sargsyan against Irina. This was Vienna. I think Ray Robson, Wesley So also had this line today. Tactic. Knight b4. So white's a pawn up, but black has very nice compensation on the light squares. Threatening this right now, threatening this. If queen b5 check is bishop c6. So what white's move here? Maybe check and queen e2. So there's no bishop a6 followed by knight d3 idea. Because if you go queen e2 here, then bishop a6 kind of kills you. With knight d3 to follow, you have to move your king, and then this is a disaster. Octopus knight, as Kasparov would call it. So maybe check and queen e2. I also wonder if black can play here and here. What do you guys think about that? Shades of Firouzja Giri, Grand Swiss, Samarkand. And draw. So queen b5 check, maybe met with c6. So what's white's move here, guys? So castle bishop a6. Bishop f3 also not bad for black. Let's say there's no bishop a6, just takes, knight c2. Maybe this one is safer. Well, actually, hold on. I don't want to allow queen c6 check in any position. So knight c2, queen c6 was already just like massive problem. We don't want that. So yeah, bishop a6. Bishop a6. Okay, knight b5 maybe? Oh, hello Tanner from YouTube chat. Glad to hear it. All the best. Knight b5, c6 maybe. And then bishop a6 coming. Hello, Joel. So yeah, actually, I was thinking queen b5 check, c6 is the idea for black. Like Firouzja Giri. Samarkand. What about a3? Okay. a3 is interesting. And that would be a draw. Queen b5, c6. Yeah, that would be a draw. This one's hard to judge. I don't know what's happening here. Because also, a3 black could take here. Then give check. And then either take the rook or maybe if I'm black, like let's say this is actually probably pretty, this seems like a pretty comfortable advantage for black. Castles, bishop c5, knight f5. This looks like black is doing great. But maybe black can also get away with taking the rook. I'm not sure. This might not be enough for white. But maybe it is actually. Maybe it is. Hard to say. This looks pretty good for white. I don't know. King f7, take, king g7. Just pull the bishop back. This looks pretty annoying. This looks very annoying for black. But maybe queen takes d4 is just simpler. Much simpler. Here I think black is doing well. Oh, we have a move. No, no move. Sorry. So yeah, a3 I feel like bishop f3, knight c2. Rook e8. Rook e8 in which game, Don? Oh, Hound's game. Okay. I don't know what game we're talking. Hound's game. I understand. I understand. Look, guys. There are other games too. You know, there are other games. But also, Let me remind everyone respectfully, this is a no engine stream. We don't really want to know the engine stuff. Like it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't really help, actually. It doesn't add anything. It only confuses the issue. So please respect that. Knight b5 played, okay. This was the only move we hadn't yet analyzed. But Anna probably figured out she had to make this. Oh wait, we did look at it. C6, I thought. What is white planning on C6? 96 check? Nope. Take. So there's no C6, A3. Because takes in here. Here. Like rook C8, yeah, it should be good for black. Should be good for black. So if knight back, then bishop A6. I'm guessing she has to play this, but then take, queen takes. This is still a problem. Bishop D2. Maybe this is what white wants. Or A3. Okay, this seems playable. This seems playable. I don't know. I mean, maybe white should have played queen b5 and just gone for the draw. Like, I'm not really sure white is really playing for advantage. A5? A5 still. And then there's still bishop a6, so it's hard to castle for white. So maybe a3. So a3, I think black has to drop back. Let's say we castle. And on a5, we'll be in time with rook e1. I guess it's roughly equal, yeah? Like, I don't think white really has much. Black should be totally okay with this knight on d5. It'll be hard to play c5, but somehow I feel like black will be able to either get c5 or a5 bishop a6. Okay. Keep an eye on this one. Let's see, we have Alice against Jennifer Yu. Atusa against Nazi. Wow, Fabi game heating up. Okay, let's go to Fabi game. Oh boy. Okay, Fabi here. Trying to either win or lose, I gotta say. Well, he's up a piece. Wow. Wow. What is happening here, guys? Andy Woodward sacrificing a piece against Fabi? Caruana? Is he serious? A3, castles, bishop G2, bishop F5, queen B7, knight D4. Wow. So bishop F5, I mean, this was the key move. With this move, he basically, how much time he spent on this move? 2 minutes. What? What, Andy? What are you doing? Okay, so 9 minutes on bishop c5, but he didn't plan anything there. So castles 5 minutes. Bishop g2. And bishop f5. 2 minutes. Takes knight d4. 4 minutes on knight d4. But I mean, on bishop f5, he must have already had a plan here. Maybe he... There's also knight a5 could have considered. But knight a5, then Fabi just takes the rook on a8. Knight d4. Takes. Wow. No, I told you guys his calculation is off the hook. I don't think this is prep. I don't think this is prep. Okay, so knight d4, insane move. This is what I understand so far. Black was threatening check. So if white took here, then you could take the rook. And currently white's up a pawn, but black has a lot of play here on the light squares. Bishop c2, knight b3. So black should be doing, I think, all right. So Fabi took, and now he's thinking here. And if he takes here, then there's queen e7 check. White does something, black takes the queen, and then black takes one of the knights, and then, yeah, this is big problems for white, because king is still in the center. He's very underdeveloped. There's all kinds of like knight g4, and f2 is hanging, and so on. Dang, so this is like intense. Fabi's under some serious pressure here. Now you can pull the knight back, but black's idea is to checkmate him. Like, he's trying to go like queen e7 and rook e8 and just play for mate. And knight f3, queen e2 check. Game over. So this is an example of how easily this could be like game over. White would have to give back the piece with knight e3. But yeah, no, he's getting wrecked. This is super scary for Fabi. I'm just curious, like, when did he come up with this idea? Like, he goes bishop f5, take knight d4. I don't think knight d4 is actually that hard to calculate. It's just you would think he spent more time on it. Like, the lines so far have been pretty straightforward. Like knight d4, knight c2, and then ed. Also, like, okay, it's not the first. Like, this is a reverse Sicilian, right? So it's basically knight d5 in the Sicilian. E takes d4. Fabi took pretty quickly, actually, 50 seconds. So Fabi spent 21 minutes on g3, and then has since basically been blitzing out his moves. Maybe this is some preparation they're both aware of. I don't know. I would be very, very surprised by that. It doesn't like smell like preparation, but yeah, I'm not sure. Very interesting. Very interesting. What's up, Tim? Hello, hello. And now Fabi's tanking. I mean, Andy just showing no respect. No respect whatsoever. How crazy is 94? Okay, let's take a look. 94. I think black can win back the piece by taking and rook b8ing. Rook b8, rook b6ing. Yeah. And then black is very happy. Oh, there's immediate knight e4. Hello. Simple chess. Tactics are on for the commentary too, right? Just making sure. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, tactics are on, guys. Okay, so from now on, I wasn't sure actually if tactics were on, but yeah. And then knight e2. Probably d3. And I mean, this is some like NN Morphe type shit. You know, this is bad news bears. It's crazy. Kids always get you like this, you know, with the, you play a little like tricky opening, you know, you think you're, you know, squeezing them, and then they just pop you. Bishop f5, knight d4. Someone was asking earlier, how does Fabi get away with playing e3 and g3? Well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. Sometimes you don't. Risky business here. Okay, well, he did take. So this is our position. Okay, knight g2 possible. Maybe the safest approach. Then maybe take, bishop d3. Don't go queen f3 here. Don't go queen f3 because then I bishop e4 you. Oh no, e3 and g3 is not bad. No. As white, you can play e3 and g3 together. It's just, it's risky. It comes with some risk. So if you don't follow up precisely, then yeah, sometimes you get punished. Maybe dc3 castle. But then rook b8. And CB is gonna win a piece. Queen f3, bishop e4 again. I guess queen f3? Or maybe here. Yeah, it feels like black is winning material. We take and take. So takes. If you take the rook right now, queen e7 check. Maybe knight e2 takes and take here. Jim's Chats, thank you for the raid. Welcome, folks. Welcome. We're watching U.S. Championships. Round 2. Very, very sharp game here between Fabi and Andy Woodward. And yeah, it seems like Fabi has been taking here. I noticed this yesterday that Fabi has very, very efficient time usage. He'll play quickly in the opening. Then at one moment he tanks for like 20 minutes. Then his next couple moves come quickly. Then he tanks again. And then his next moves come quickly. So he's very good at not taking multiple moves in a row. He takes his tanks at an appropriate moment and then follows up quickly. But still very, very difficult position here. Okay, so if queen takes on a8, what's happening here? Guess if you take twice on a8, this Doesn't look like black has totally enough for the exchange. Still some, actually. Bishop d3. Even this feels annoying, at least for white. You know? So even that actually looks annoying. Honestly, the time usage here is a bit weird because, like, he played queen b7 quickly. And then on knight d4, he took quickly. And now he's, like, tanking. But I feel like even if he had an idea, he wouldn't have taken so fast. It's kind of confusing. I hope they ask him about it later. Because even if he found some idea, I mean, kid sacrifices a piece after thinking, like, the kid did think on knight d4 for 4.5 minutes, which I think actually for someone like Andy is plenty of time. I mean, he can solve like 68 puzzles in 3 minutes, right? So 4.5 minutes on one move, not like the most, not the least amount of time in the world. But it is weird that he like took and then, I mean, you kind of have to take as white, right? Like, I don't know if you have another move. So maybe he realized he has to take and then figure it out. Maybe that's kind of what Fabio was thinking, that like he basically has to take the piece. He might have, by the way, Andy was thinking here for 4.5 minutes, right? So I've definitely done that too, where like if I know a move is coming by my opponent, like I can see that knight d4 is coming. Okay, so already here Fabio has 4.5 minutes to realize that on knight d4 he has to take and then think. So maybe that's what he figured out. Like, okay, knight d4 I have to take, and then I'll decide what to do from there. Is there a chance he calculated e takes d4, rook b8, but just figured e takes d4 wins and he'll calculate? I mean, I don't know. At this point where it's just pure speculation. So it's really hard to say, but yeah, could he have missed, for example, queen e8, queen e7 check? I mean, the thing that's unlikely is that it's like if he missed that, that means he was like calculating, but he didn't really spend that much time calculating. So it's like it's hard for me to say, like, very hard to say what exactly has happened. Because if black doesn't have queen e7 check, let's say he has to take, then white's just up a rook. So it's like, I don't think he would think, okay, I'm just gonna be up a rook. Let me just play e takes d4 in under a minute. You know, oh, Andy's so stupid. He's down a rook. He forgot about. You know, I don't think he played this quickly thinking he was winning. I think he played this. I think he. This is my best guess. Knight d4 he saw coming because black spends 4.5 minutes here. He realized during his opponent's turn that he's gonna have to take, so he just takes quickly and then thinks about it here. Maybe he thought, yeah, there's an option for rook b8 black might play. He'll drop back queen f3 or, you know, whatever. So he gives him the chance to play rook b8. Kid recaptures, and then he starts thinking. And we finally have a move, queen f3, after 15 minutes. Okay, queen f3 actually very logical. We didn't consider it. But okay, there's a lot of moves. So trying to keep piece up. Of course, black has bishop g4. So what is his intention on bishop g4? And then dc3. Very scary for white. Bishop g4, dc3, rook e8 check is coming. Does he want bishop g4, some queen a8, queen e7 check? Doesn't seem to work. 94. What's the intention, guys? Bishop g4, queen d3 maybe, but then takes. Knight f3, rook e8. King d1, king f1. I think Bobby's in trouble. I don't really, not really seeing it. Not really seeing it, to be honest with you guys. Andy Woodward about to win the game of the century again. I mean, I told you guys about what the kid can do. I told you what he can calculate. Okay, I told you he's Puzzle Rush World Champion. I told you all this. You guys didn't listen. I mean, you heard me, but you didn't listen. You were like, yeah, but whatever. He's playing Fabi, so Fabi will come up with something. Okay, some ideas. The bishop g4. Take d4. So let's say rook e8 check. If bishop e3, c takes b2. That hurts. Maybe king f1. But then queen e7 also hurts. So this is a problem for white. Because rook b1, black takes here, and then black is like 2 pawns up. I mean, white can take the exchange, but feels like black has great play. Maybe it's not so clear. Maybe it's, king here, h3. Maybe it's really a very unclear position, but does not look fun for black. Andy, I'll say welcome. If Andy wins this game and says welcome to the dojo, membership for life. Free membership for life. Yeah, no, I mean, this has clearly gone very wrong for white. Just based on the time usage, it feels like it's gone wrong. Fabi down to 34 minutes. Fabi Caruana, move 10. Did Oparin quit yesterday? And he's like, you're on your own. I was like, no, but I need you. Oparin's like, no, you humiliated me. I'm never working for you again. Yeah, this is Fabi. This is Fabi without his seconds. Is that what we're seeing today? Is that what we're seeing? Or maybe a disgruntled Oparin gave Fabi this prep. He's like, oh, try this queen b3 line. It's very good. It's very tricky. Fabi plays into it and then gets popped. Gets popped to this 19. I don't know. It doesn't look good for white. So Andy's not playing bishop g4. I guess he's thinking about other moves. Like maybe you start with rook e8 check. What's white playing on rook e8 check, actually? 92? d3, queen f5. 892, bishop g4. d3. Yeah, I guess rook e8, knight ce2. No, but then bishop e4. GG. Yeah, sorry, guys. Tactics are on. Tactics are on. So rook e8 check. Also, what is white playing here? Has to move the king. Because this one, I think black goes here, and then takes, and there's major problem. Major problem. I mean f3. But then you can't castle. You're just getting like, oof, this is not a good position to look at. So rook e8 check might force king f1. So that's what he's thinking about. Does he want to include this? And you might even consider queen e7 now. Looking at the checkmates. 92. D3. Take here. I don't know. Maybe this isn't enough for black, but it still feels super dangerous, you know? G6. You got to stay here, otherwise bishop f2 pops you. Maybe white's okay here. So check here. Yeah, even DC instead of queen e7. Just getting the piece back. And then black is only down 1 pawn for this kind of compensation. It's massive. It's absolutely massive. But okay, actually, let's see. So maybe check, knight e2. So bishop g4, maybe queen takes rook is still possible. So take, let's say take. No, actually, why take? Let's say queen e7. And then white's up a rook and a piece, but I feel like white's still kind of toasted here. It's like Rice Krispies. You can give the queen, but e2 is still. So castles, takes. Materially white is okay. 2 rooks for the queen, but still feels like black is very, very active here. Well, maybe white is surviving. Hard to say. Very complicated, actually. This looks very unclear. So super unclear position. Very, very complicated. Like today, these guys they're earning their money, you know, because they got a position that's like very like non-standard, atypical, lots of calculation. Very, very complicated stuff. And I feel like Andy is the one that should be happier with this than Fabi. I don't think this is what Fabi wanted. I think he just wanted like quiet, safe advantage. Try to press. I don't think he wanted a dogfight like this. So, Andy. Go Andy. Okay, now, Hans. Hans did something little controversial. He went rook e8. I was thinking either bishop f3 or d4, but rook e8 was kind of like our third option. Castle's queenside from Oparin. He's not afraid. Wow. e4, h3. And this is the live position. Hans burning tons of time down to 27 minutes. Man, round 2 US Championships, huh? Very sharp. Very sharp, guys. Already just like heating up. I mean, I don't understand. It's like everyone thinks they could win. Literally everyone thinks they can win. Bishop e6 plate. Yeah, I didn't think castles was possible because of e4, but h3 deals with that on bishop h5 would have been g4. So super chaotic position. These guys are also earning their money. Like I would say, who's not earning their money today? Actually, Ray Robson, Wesley So, very complicated position. Mishra, Sevian, very complicated. Actually, most players. Okay, you know this game, like Shanklin against Darius. me see if I could find it here. Not the most interesting game. It's like, pretty typical, like pretty standard is, I think, Italian game. They've seen this on their chess base like 10,000 times. They don't have to work super hard to find these moves. Queen c2, c6. These are very easy moves that these guys are. I'm not saying I'd be able to play with. I'm just saying these are like pretty typical moves these guys are making. But like these other games, like Robson Wesley, rook to g8, they've got this on the board. Mishra Sevian, Mishra sacrificed the exchange. And Oparin Neiman, I mean, these guys, I mean, they have to deal with this position. Very difficult. Very difficult. Even at my level, I feel like a lot of my games, typically I get structures that I've seen before. You get some kind of typical position, isolated queen pawn, hanging pawn structure, King's Indian, I get some structure that I've seen before. I kind of have a handle. I rarely, even at my level, I rarely get just a completely, unusual situation like this. And it's very difficult. You have to figure out where to put the pieces and how to play the position, where to put the king, what your plan is, and so on. Okay, but anyways, chess is a concrete game. So right now, knight is under attack. I don't really see a lot of potential with like sacrificing the knight, so I feel like knight d4 would be the most logical move. Maybe c takes d5. White is also considering to throw this in, like cd5 and then c4. Could be an option too. Could be an option as well. C takes d5, black recaptures with something, and then white just goes c4, trying to get the piece back like this. And then if takes, even just takes back. And then, but okay, I mean, I don't know. With all the, like in all these lines, white's king ends up vulnerable on the c file. It's only one way I can really put it. Vulnerable. Vulnerability. Maybe knight g5 here is also an option for Hans. So knight g5, knight d4, or for Oparin. Knight g5, knight d4. Black might be going knight e5. Sharp stuff, sharp stuff. So, folks, let me ask again. Who are we all rooting for? We have two leaders so far, Caruana and Aronian, but it's still pretty much anyone's tournament. We got Shanklin playing, Ray Robson, Friends of the Dojo, Andy Woodward, Mishra. Andy fan. Nice. Keep an eye on these games, by the way. Bishop g4 played by Andy, speaking of. Bishop g4, queen d3 on the board. Shanklin. Yeah, the Fisher bonus is very difficult. 5 wins in a row to get $1,000. Basically, only 2 players in contention. And I feel like, maybe only Levon be in contention today. Levon, by the way, he went for that endgame. And he's trying to press a little bit against the Wonder. Bishop a6, rook d1. A Wonder takes on b5, knight b5, and now goes knight c4. Looking to kind of force things into equality. But will Levon be able to find some way to keep some pressure with like e4 or some move like this? e4, knight b2, rook d2, knight c4. Take. Yeah, this feel like not much for white. Maybe a little something because his rooks are on the open files, but his knight is. It feels like black should be pretty much okay. 6b5. If he takes here, this one I think is very equal. because black's rook is going to activate as well, and white can't really double so easily. I don't know. This thing might be sharp. Knight d6, rook d8. But it feels like black is all right here. So after knight c4, I'm not sure how white keeps any pressure here. We'll have to think about this one. Okay, who should we watch, guys? Many interesting games. So Andy, bishop g4, queen d3. Now he's thinking about it here, whether he wants to take on c3 or throw in rook e8 check, possibly. But rook e8 check, then white is going knight ce2. Does he go queen e7 there? Or... So rook e8, knight ce2. What's the follow-up? I don't see. But why isn't he going dc3? What else does he have? Hello, Putzi. Hello, Lorena. How you guys doing? Sharp day today, US Championships. Very complicated battles going on. You know, today players are really earning their prize. They're working hard. Using brain, calculating variations, finding moves. These guys are on it today. They're playing chess. They're playing real chess. Yeah, we're watching Andy Woodward here. And for some reason he's thinking, I'm still trying to figure out what moves he's considering here other than capturing this knight on c3. Because if he gives check with the rook, it's knight ce2. Queen a8 on the last move. This is a key detail. Would have been met with queen e7 check. And then black wins the queen and is very active. Okay, does take on c3. So, yeah, I guess he was looking for a way to make this work, but I didn't see anything here. I don't think he did either. So he takes on c3. Now white to play. Of course, he can recapture the pawn, or he can think about trying to finish his development. But rook e8 check is still happening. And white is only going to be up one pawn here. Oof, only one pawn. The rook on a8 is also under attack, but I don't think this is one white wants to take, because queen takes and just looks so nasty on the light squares. Way too nasty. So I wouldn't expect that. I guess BC, maybe towards the center, or DC are the most logical moves, just trying to develop. But let's say we take rook e8 check, king f1, queen e7, maybe something else. So we'll start with queen e7, threatening mate, bishop d2. Does black have some kind of knockout here? If we could find a knockout, then we would be very happy for black, but I don't quite see one. Otherwise, rook e1 is coming, h3, like white can try to slowly consolidate. It's only one pawn, but still, pawn is a pawn. Queen d7 maybe, bishop f5, but in that case, maybe black should have played queen d7 here and try to activate this way. This still feels like we have tremendous compensation, just long term. It's only one pawn, we can try to double. Okay, have to make sure we don't hang the rook, but well, I don't know, maybe white can take like this. At some point, maybe white can take the rook. Hard to say. Can white consider rook e8? And then, wait, which one? Bishop e3 followed by king d2? Bishop e3, I think black maybe just takes right away. Yeah. And then, again, it's only one pawn, so I feel like, well, actually, okay, if we're willing to play king d2, might as well go king e7 first, and then take queen e7 first, then take, and then I would think, yeah, just for one pawn, black should have just incredible compensation here. Rook b8 and yeah, eventually try to open things up. d5, bishop h5, bishop g6, something like that. So it's still pretty scary, and Fabi's thinking here. Yeah, he's down to almost 30 minutes. So he's clearly not in a very comfortable situation. Okay, DC, played. Meanwhile, Levon did go e4. That was one of the moves we were considering. But that doesn't look so dangerous for, I wonder, Liang. Okay, guys, I take a quick break. We've been streaming for roughly 100 minutes. I'll BRB. And when we come back, we will keep watching some of the games. Round 2, U.S. Championships. Watch party continues. Andy Woodward playing Heart of the Lion against the 3-time defending U.S. champion, #1 player in the U.S., Fabiano Caruana. People might say Hikaru is the #1 player in the U.S. I don't think so. Actually, I don't know. If he doesn't play U.S. Championship, he can't be #1. I don't think that's how it works. He's the highest rated, but he can't be #1 U.S. player if he doesn't play U.S. Championships. I don't know how we got into this topic, just ran. But anyways, so Andy really taking it to Fabi here, and we'll see. We'll see how this develops. On rook e8 check, we weren't really sure. I think king f1 he's gonna go. King f1 actually still not. Yeah, I think it's like good compensation for black, but it's not game over or anything. King f1, maybe black just goes rook b8. And b4 drops back. Or maybe he doesn't really care. Maybe king f1, maybe even a5 he starts. Tries to fix the queen side. Okay, folks, quick break for me. But I'll be back. Let's watch this game. See you all soon. Oh, let me get some water. All right, guys, what's happening? 97 from Andy. Wow. Oh, man. Oh, boy. All right, Ricky A. check King F1 97. 97. So what does Andy want? He wants 95? I'm just going after the C pawn. I gotta say, guys, White's position looks really rough. I mean, let's look at it from Andy's board. Like, let's try to defeat the U.S. champion. So if Queen F6 is an idea, 95. This is super dangerous. If White takes, Queen takes, we can just look at it. Let's say F3. Knight comes out to E5. And White's position just collapses. Like, we just got to forget who we're playing. We just have to realize, like, just look at the position. Just look at the position. I mean, it's collapsing. It's collapsing. This is really tough. So let's try other moves here. Let's say knight f3. Let's imagine take. If bishop takes knight e5, let's say queen somewhere. D6 there is. But even like position queen f6, king g2. Even some position like this to me looks like black has a ton of compensation. Maybe not more than that though. Maybe it's compensation, but not more than that. So knight f3. Maybe queen f6 on knight f3. Yeah, good call, Tim. Very good call. Just tying the knight down, looking for knight e5. And knight e5 is a pretty big threat because it's going to hit f3. So bishop d2, knight e5, it's like winning for black. Game over. So queen f6. Okay, so knight f3, queen f6. I'm not seeing a good answer there. Okay, we keep thinking. And Fabi doesn't have that much time. Not much time here for Fabi. Wait, we have a move? Knight f3 on the board. Knight f3 on the board. Andy POV mode throwing me off. Whole new game. Yeah, it's much more fun to look at it from this perspective than than from White's point of view. Ah, Stephen Wolkin. Yes, a good suggestion. So queen f6. White can try bishop f4 to block the e file. Or block the f file. Sweet Blues in the Twitch chat also had same thoughts. Let's say take. Just wondering. Take 95. Something like this. Yeah, I guess king g2. This feels pretty safe for white. I don't think we have enough here. But maybe like h6, yeah. Or take g5. Oh, Jake with the tactics. Jake with the tactics. And then g4. That's nice. I mean, I guess maybe white takes here, but then we take here. And it looks super dangerous. I don't know if it's like 100% lost, but it looks extremely bad. I don't know if it's lost, but I think with best play, white is losing the game. If g5 first, then I thought white takes here. With tempo. I guess you could say knight e5, and you would have a point. You definitely have, I mean, I don't know. Maybe even this is good for black because this is like still very active. There's a lot of lines here, guys. Yeah, so just bear with me. A lot of possibilities. Queen f6 does look very good though. Wonder what else he might be thinking about. But yeah, so queen f6, just to finish up, bishop f4. I don't think we found solution here for white. Takes g5. Okay, because this one, Driven, you're suggesting to just take back. But yeah, I wasn't really believing in it. I thought, let's say we just take the rook. King will hide on h8. And this is a target. I think the two pieces here should be really strong. White has rook and 2 pawns, but okay, this is one of white's extra pawns here. Definitely not impressive. So I think here black has big advantage. Big advantage. I don't know if black is like close to winning or anything, but doing well. So if g4, then again, black is taking here and 2 pieces for the rook. I think black is doing great. Yeah. If rook a8 here, then maybe bishop e3, maybe queen e4 first, and then bishop e3 to kind of like keep an eye on this one. I don't quite believe in, well, I don't know, rook b8. Still rook b8. So maybe bishop e3, but then queen f3 here. I mean, on all these lines, black has a lot of pressure, but I think I would take this one. Although, yeah, because FG comes with such like grief, and then 95 is in the air. Andy thinking though, 40 minutes. So main thing is like, he's gonna get nervous because there's a lot of cameras, and whenever there's a big game, right, generally, like sometimes there's a moving camera in the tournament, right? And so if the moving camera is on you, that means they're watching your game, right? So it's like, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. You're playing US champion. His king is on f1. You've sacrificed a pawn. You've solved 1 billion puzzles in your life, and this is starting to look like a puzzle rush, So I'm sure Andy feels the potential here. Now, apparently there's a confessional booth at the tournament. I don't know if it's working yet, because yesterday it wasn't working yet, but yeah, I think if Andy were to give a confessional, I think he would say that he likes his position. He thinks he, should have really good chances. Yeah, Houseline. I think it's quite a lot for the kids. The first time they play this tournament, I think, is always tough. But they get some experience with the U.S. Junior because there's a lot of cameras at the U.S. Junior, and there's interviews and commentary and this whole thing. So they get some experience there. But U.S. Championship is a whole nother level. No, he hasn't. This game is far from over, but it's well, we haven't really found solution for white after queen f6, so we have some questions. We have some questions. The confessional booth is like this optional thing where they can go in and voice their thoughts about the game. Some tournaments do it, like for fan interaction. Personally, I feel like it's a little strange because normally you're not supposed to hear from a player during the game. And with some players, I find that it feels like it helps them even because they talk through their thoughts and then they're like calculating in there and then they like realize something. They're like, oh, actually, I have this idea. So it like kind of helps them. It feels like unnatural a bit. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, Andy here thinking. I'm just taking a peek at other games. Levon trying to squeeze endgame against a wonder, and he might, he might come up with something there. Oh, I wanted to see Hans' game. Hans had some updates here. So this was the Hans game. H3, bishop, e6. They also had very chaotic positions. C takes d5. C4. Okay, we were thinking that this is an option. Queen f6. Hitting a1 square. Bishop b2. Knight b4. Oh, tactics. Takes. Knight saves. White's still up a pawn, but very unhealthy pawn. Knight e5. King c3. And this is live position. Okay, so they've gotten into this endgame where black is very likely going to win back this pawn, but now actually black might I feel, experience difficulties with the fact that white's king is a little bit closer in this endgame. So at some point, you know, white can take on e6, bishop b2, king b4, rook d4, rook d1, and I kind of feel like if anyone is better here, it's white. Can also play knight b3 next move if he wants on rook c8, and okay, I feel like it might be asking to get hit, but yeah, to me, like, he can give back the pawn and develop his stuff. At some point, get bishop versus knight, and black has some long-term weaknesses as well. I would say that only white is maybe the one pushing for advantage here, but probably not much. Yeah, my best guess is that the players will figure out how to make a draw. But maybe he has like ideas. Knight b5, knight d6. Hard to say. I don't love rook d5. I'm not sure. It just feels like we're not really going to have enough for the exchange, but you never know. Sometimes these sacks can be very strong. But yeah, I'm not sure I quite feel it here. Okay, we'll see. Levon, by the way, Levon, you know, like, think about Levon. He's kind of had like a rough couple of years, right? But he's occasionally has brilliant tournaments, and he used to be #2 player in the world, like clear #2. And he's very dangerous. So now I feel like he's a dark horse in every event that he plays, because I feel like people have kind of stopped fearing him, but he's still a genius. Like, what can you say? Like, he's still a genius. He's still a genius chess player. So you can't you cannot count him out at all. So knight b2, rook d4 played. Black took another pawn, takes back. Now there's tactics in the air. So like if he takes this pawn, there's going to be bishop d5 and rook e1 type stuff. So goes here, knight d6, b5, and now e5, and then wonder goes back, knight e8. So he doesn't dare taking the pawn, I think, because of knight takes f7, and he hits the rook and potential discovered attack. So this would be problematic for black. He goes knight e8 instead. And maybe it's not so dangerous for black. Maybe he's okay because white's pawn is under pressure, but it feels like white has potential. So knight f7 does not work, rook f4, because black has knight c4. So he's relying on this one, and then otherwise white would maybe get some material back, and still there was like rook a7, but yeah, rook a7, you would like take, go rook f1, and again, without knight c4, black would be having big problems. But after knight c4, he's up a piece and saving. Yeah, maybe take rook d7, then knight c4 again. And not sure what's happening here. Rook c4. This might be working. Hold on, he made a move. Bishop d5 played. Oh, bishop d5. So he just gets out of knight c4 completely. I don't know how they calculate so fast. Like, to me, he just, I don't know. I guess he found knight f7 is not so convincing. So he finds bishop d5. And now knight f7 feels like a big problem. Rook c2 was there, and then I would imagine black just goes knight c4 at basically, yeah, on rook c2, and then just gives back the pawn. Now there's no rook a7 because knight c8. Yeah, I would expect rook d8, but then maybe the rook The rook is lining up a bit. Oh, then knight f7, and then you can't even take because bishop f7 and rook d8. So rook b8 might be obliged here from black. Rook b8, we take on f7, rook f7, rook f1. That looks pretty good, right? Rook b8. Take, and rook f1. Oh, rook b7 is there. Rook b7 is there. Okay, very important move, actually. Well, important move, but still, there's takes in rook f4. And these knights are unemployed. They need to get a job. It's, I don't know what to say. They need to get a job. You know, they're failing their guy here. They're failing a wonder. So rook b8, white's taking. Knight d6 here. I mean, I think either recapturing or taking the rook both look good. Maybe just recapturing is simplest and just keeping. I don't see black's play here. Wow, so Levon maybe going to 2-0. Go Levon. Clear leader possibly because Fabi. I see he's down to 15 minutes. And let's check in with Andy. What Andy do? Andy went 95, so no queen f6. He must have refuted, bishop f4 for black somehow. So 95 instead. Takes, rook takes. And now rook f5 seems to be. I want to see it from Andy's point of view. I feel like this is more interesting. Okay, now yeah. Oh yeah. Now this makes sense. Okay, rook f5, queen f6 is here. Bishop e2 check is a big threat. Man, maybe I need to work on seeing the opponent's ideas. Maybe I should be looking at it from this side. Okay, we have all these threats. What would be the defense? Bishop f3, then queen f6, king g2, rook f5. I feel like Fabi's like busted here. I feel like I gotta know. I mean, king is on f1. Rooks are disconnected. And it's all bishops on the board. All bishops means all tactics, guys. Its strategy is only a thing when knights are on the board. If it's bishops, then it's open position. And it means it's just open tactics all day long. And I don't think you want to do tactics against the Puzzle Rush World Champion. Dang, no, this is a disaster for Fabi. Oh, man. Oh, man, and St. Louis is going to go crazy. You know they're going to run with this. You know they're going to go crazy. They're going to go crazy at the studio. They're going to be like, oh, my God. Maurice Ashley's going to be, oh, my God, how could this happen to Fabi Caruana? The U.S. jet. How could this happen? Oh, man. Oh, man, they're going to anoint Andy today. Jeez Louise. I really don't see what white does here. Okay, let's just look at moves. So bishop e3. I want to take with the rook. Go queen f6 check. Rook e8. Rook e1. Bishop f3. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of moves here. Maybe queen e7. Maybe bishop takes e3 is simple. Like, I think black is very comfortable there. We've only sacked a pawn as black, so I think we're happy there. But even this looks miserable for white. Hitting this one, rook you want, just because like rook is stuck, right? Rook is just totally stuck. So, okay, still would need a way to break through. It's queen g5, king f2. It's not so easy. I don't know if rook e3 is really necessary. Maybe queen f6 here. Bishop c5, bishop e2 check, take, king takes. Maybe we've given up too much material there for the queen. Rook e8. Yeah, not sure. So bishop e3, of course this would be simple, and then I think black is extremely happy here. Maybe I would just do this, actually, just queen f6, like, I mean, we're only down one pawn, and white is just completely stuck. Yeah, I mean, this I think is crushing for black. I think this is like just crushing. And then I would just follow up like h5 here, c5, like I don't have to do anything. It's just like white's just stuck. Okay, what other moves? Okay, actually takes, maybe. So bishop a8. My instincts would be to just recapture and play on the light squares before going for bishop e2. But bishop e2, queen e2, rook e2, king e2, queen a8. So that endgame, let's just take a look at it. I think this looks nice for black. This could be good for black. Maybe, I don't know, if winning, probably not winning, bishop e3. But maybe this is okay for white. Maybe white is kind of okay here. So yeah, I would definitely look at queen a8. We hit the rook. No, but this is like, yeah, this is just game over. This is like immediately game over. So this is not playable, actually. This is just not playable here. So bishop e3, minimum black takes, queen f6, rook e8. Just looks amazing. Okay, we also had bishop f4. Thank you. So let's look at bishop f4. All right, bishop e2, take, king takes. That looks pretty forced. Probably throw in check so as not to let white castle. I don't know where we go exactly. We don't want to give up the f pawn. Maybe king f1. Then rook e8. Probably got to go bishop f3. You guys let me know if there's other options, but I'm just making the most natural moves. And then maybe there's something sharp here with g5. Yeah, again, g5 is pretty serious, right? So this might be just winning for black. There was also kind of simpler option, queen e6, queen takes c4. And just as an example, like this endgame, white only has rook and bishop for the queen, no pawn. This endgame, I think, would be a technical win for black, something like this. Wait, what's happening? We have moves. Bishop f4 played. Rook e2 played. Okay, rook e2 I think leads to the same thing. Queen takes e2. Oh, so we're going into this endgame, guys. This endgame looked nice for black. Like the queen is just very strong. And I feel like white's not developing in time. So he's going to take on e2. Interesting, he played rook e2, which also forces white to give up the queen, because like rook f2 is such a problem. But it's interesting because like bishop e2, like this is technically more forcing. Like here you win the queen for sure. Like you have to take. You know, you're not allowing bishop d3. That just doesn't make any. So you have to take. And then you would here, okay, you're throwing rook f2. So again, white would have to take. There's no time for bishop a8. So you already can get this position, but he decides to go rook e2, which gives white more chances to go wrong. Even though it like feels like it's less forcing for black, he gives Fabi chances to go wrong with some move, like let's say bishop a8, then again he'd be getting like wrecked here with rook f2, queen a8, and so on. So Andy showing very high confidence. I don't know. I honestly love this rook e2. Maybe there's a simpler explanation than what I'm saying, but like he had bishop e2, like he just wins the queen with bishop e2. But he goes rook e2, where white can just do the same thing. So it's like makes no difference from white's point of view, but he gives white more chances to like. So I don't know. It shows some nice confidence. Okay, so queen e2. Wait. No. Hold on. Hold on. Maybe this whole thing is wrong. Maybe DGT is like screwed this whole thing up. What is happening? Kia is happening. All right, here's what I think. I think he didn't go for the super bold rook e2. I think he played this one, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then rook b8 and b4. That's my best guess. I don't know why he didn't give queen e7 check, but I'm also not sure that's the right position. Okay, we'll let the DGT figure it out. I'm sure Chris Bird is on it. Let's check in with Levon. Well, look at what Levon is doing, guys. Rook d8. Oh, he went rook c6. Oh, because knight f7, there's rook takes d5. You guys didn't see this one? Guys, chat, your job is to find tactics, okay? My job is to talk. Your job is to find the tactical ideas. All right, that's how this works. So rook takes d5. So instead, he goes rook c6. Now he's trying to take here. He wants to take on b5. He wants to take on f7 still. So if rook e5, then he'll take with this. And is he threatening this still? He's not really threatening knight f7 because there's still rook d5 and then the knight will hang. But he is putting Owanger under some serious pressure. Okay, Hans defending, Shankland putting some pressure. Mishra, he's still grinding this position against Sevian with exchange sack. But now black has this like, black has basically won the battle on the queen side, but he's, so this game actually heating up because he's counting on rook d7 and e7 here. So this game is also super sharp. Ray's game against Wesley, so stabilized a little bit, although very tricky actually. I feel like Ray might be in some trouble there. And then we have Fabi against Andy. Okay, Fabi, Andy, I think they fixed it. I think they fixed it. So here, rook e2. No, they didn't fix it. I thought they had the right position. I thought they had the right. Okay, it's probably like this. It's probably the same position, but like this. But Andy's winning this, guys. Andy's winning this. I mean, it looks great. Okay, bishop c6. I forgot to take the queen. What are they doing? What are these guys doing? Crazy. Okay, now this makes sense, this makes sense. Okay, I refresh. Hmm. Okay, let's see if they fix the move order. So here it looks like, okay, so this is what happens. So take, take, take. Rook b8, b4, bishop b6. Here, and now queen f6 on the board. And Anti playing fast, dude. 31 minutes left. It's move 20. 20 moves for Fabi to make. Rook c1. But yeah, I don't know why black didn't, we were thinking check. And in rook e8. Maybe king d2? Rook e8, rook e1? You didn't like? You don't really have time for this because bishop takes rook and you're down too much material. So he kept it kind of simple. Rook b8. He provokes b4. It's nice because he has this like fresh weakness to latch onto with queen f6. Bishop c6 here, here. And now Andy looking to convert. I mean, g5 is an obvious move. Try and trade off the bishops and get in on the dark squares. It's definitely not over. I do feel like he could have gotten more. At least it feels like that way. I'm not sure. But it's not over yet. But it does feel like it's really good winning chances for black, even if maybe the computer could hold. Fabi has 10 minutes, and he's probably feeling pretty disgusted. Like, I don't know how optimistic he is. Maybe he's happy that he got into got into this at least, but I can't imagine he's enjoying this game today. So you're not playing Stockfish, you know, you're playing a disgruntled 2800. So not the easiest position to hold. Yeah, that's true. How do you get the rook back in? Not so easy. By the way, g5 isn't the only idea. There's also bishop takes f2. Remember, guys, tactics are available. I mean, they announce it before every round to the players that tactics are turned on for the tournament. So yeah, a5, b5. Oh, yeah, so a5, b5, a4. No, actually, I mean, very possible. Just looking for another avenue, even this one too. So that's definitely an option, I think. But I don't know if on a5 if white reacts. Maybe white just leaves it. Just prepares to recapture ab. So yeah, bishop f2 feels very tempting. And then g5. I don't know what's going on here. I thought black was winning. I mean, I thought black was winning. Black's position definitely looked fantastic like a couple moves ago. But maybe he didn't like quite get the most in this position. But I don't understand this rook f1 thing. Take here. We take. And what? Just king g2? Say like rook f8. Or I don't know. Here maybe. No, but then this one hangs. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not winning for black, but it still feels like black is the one calling the shots. Like black is the one knocking. I would think. Yeah, maybe it's still concrete. I don't know. Bishop d5, king up. And then there's f5. Yeah, maybe white's surviving this. I mean, if white gets like any chances of a fortress, then I think Fabi is gonna hold it because he's very good. Rook d8 played. Okay. Andy with some devilish intentions here. I don't know what they are. I just know they're extremely devilish. Puzzle Rush World Champion doesn't play Rook d8 without some dirty ideas. What does he want? Rook d8? d5? d5 cd? d5 bishop d5 d6? Yeah, maybe Fabi's escaping here. Fabi's escaping. Still has 8 minutes. Somehow feels very losable for it feels like one of those games where like you're losing, then you kind of survived, and then you blunder again and lose. What about g5 before bishop f2? Yeah, also a consideration. Then I think white goes bishop e3. And if takes, maybe just boldly taking with the king, maybe even with the pawn. Because, yeah, very hard for black to get the rook in. It's possible Andy underestimated this idea, just kind of like shutting down the rook. h4, definitely a huge candidate move, just stopping g5 in its tracks. Black will go h6, and then still some questions. As per usual. Queen e6 and d5 maybe. But let's say white goes rook e1. feel like this would be most natural move. Queen e6. Oh, because this one. That's why. Ah. Oh, wait, hold on. D3 here would have to be different. But maybe he wants to do some stuff. Okay. Rookie 1 played. So Fabi anticipates Queen e6, King d3. Maybe they'll repeat. Somehow like this. Or maybe he'll go for it. I mean, here, and then Queen h3. Scary. Scary for white still. Because with Queen h2, you're hitting f2, so it's and for h1, bishop f2. I don't actually see what white does here. His counterplay feels very slow, like rook e7, bishop d5. So Andy can get this? So check and Queen h3. Yeah, it seems possible that Woodward could lose this. I mean, I think it's very unlikely, but you know, we've all lost good positions before, especially under pressure, right? It wouldn't be the first time. Oh, rook e2 after Queen h3. Okay, so here. Ah, rook e2. Okay, there we go. And then you defend both. Yeah. He might hold this yet. So guys, what are we saying? Fabi is still good at chess? I thought it was over. I thought this was the changing of the guard, like right here and now. But I guess not. He's not ready to go down so easily. Fabi still got some moves to play, guys, okay? So the obituaries have been written too soon. Okay, everyone needs to take back their think pieces about the end of Fabi's reign. It's only moved 22. No, fine, Brian, it's over. Okay, it's over. That's it. The moment has passed. Let's check in with Hans. There was some talk about his game. Looks like this one has liquidated a bit. Let's just go back and see what happened here. So we saw this endgame. Knight b3, knight d7. So black is able to win back the pawn on c5. White takes on e4, but now rook a5. Black has good counterplay. And oh, nice tactico here from Hans. Rook takes a4. So all these games actually have tactics going on. I don't know if you guys knew that. All these games. Okay, this one's still pretty draw-ish, I would say. Though I could lose this with either side. No problem. Who would I rather be here? I guess still rather be white. Still rather be white. Because we're a little bit more active. G-pawn kind of hanging. Rook G1, Rook G5, F4, Rook G7. So G-pawn is a bit of a concern. But of course, we can take on A7, Bishop G2. Play G3 here. Probably I'd go G3 as white, I think. A6. Should be slightly better for white. Rook A5. If the rooks came off, then the king is extremely active. But I don't know if white's like much better. I think maybe just slightly better. For the woodpecker method, I did the first one just in full. I just followed their method as closely as I could. So I did like the full seven cycles. The second one, I'm still like slowly working through it, so I'm not really doing the cycle thing, but maybe I will in the future. Yeah, maybe white has good chances here. I gotta say, I'm not a huge endgame maestro, you know. So it'll be interesting to see. Okay, Fabi, 6 minutes. He went H4 and H6 on the board here. So Andy reinstating the threat of G5. He's like, I can still beat you, okay? Just because you maybe survived. I can still win this. Fabi's like, okay, we'll see about that. See about that, punk. He's probably calling him a punk. Not out loud, obviously, but just like in his head. Okay, let's see other games here. Levon still pressing. Mishra, whoa, Mishra game is super complicated. But he's up a lot on the clock against Sevian. I just want to see last couple moves here. There's Rook D1. Sevian makes a run for it. Rook D7. C2. Love it. Takes. So black sacrifices a pawn because he gives up a C pawn. Right? You guys see how that happened? So notice how black has a queen and a C pawn, queen and a C pawn, no queen, C pawn, queen, no C pawn. So black sacrifices the C pawn, takes on A2, and now white is still banking on the power of his bishop and pawn. Rook A2. Okay, super complicated situation. I mean, we got queen takes E3 here as a major threat for black. White has ideas against black's king and back rank. I guess something like queen F3 or queen E5 are like my first instincts. So I feel like you don't really have time to take on B7 because queen E3 is it comes with some pretty vicious threats. Did I experience significant improvement in tactics and calculation after Woodpecker? Yeah, definitely. I felt a lot sharper after doing the book. I mean, it was like a month of like nonstop tactics, you know, like 2-3 hours per day. So I don't think it's like a game changer, right? It's like, this is always the point I make about Woodpecker method. It's just, if you did 2-3 hours a day of calculation from any good tactics book, you would feel a lot better after a month. But Woodpecker is a good collection of puzzles. There are other good collection of puzzles as well. So I wouldn't people get too obsessed about the Woodpecker method. Oh, the method, does the method work? Are there other methods? What's the method? Guys, just solve the puzzles. Just solve the puzzles, you know? just stop freaking out and just solve the puzzle. Rook A1 also a threat. Absolutely. Absolutely. So white's king here is no happy camper. So could white even be in some trouble? Queen F3, Rook A1? It's hard to imagine. I feel like King H3, white's still very safe. Let's say here, here, here. We can even think about the endgame. Like in the endgame, I don't think white is in trouble because they're just gonna like move the rook and push E7. Like white could be winning in a lot of these endgames. I don't know. It's so hard to say. If here, let's say we take. And, well, actually, Rook D7 maybe was fast enough. Or black doesn't even get out in time. something like this, right? And then we're just promoting. So maybe queen f3, king h3. But okay, black doesn't have to trade, obviously. Black can give check and do something else. But just good to see like what's who benefits from the end game. So Mishra, some questions. Fabi also 3 minutes. Levon 24 minutes. Tatev, I think, doing okay against Carissa. Looking pretty equal there. Okay, many sharp games going on. Many sharp games. Robson So also heating up. Robson winning exchange there, or what? Dang. Okay, how about rook b7, queen e3, queen f3? So endgame again looks nice for white. Maybe this is actually pretty annoying. Queen c5, e7. Yeah, actually this is a nice idea. Queen e3, queen f3. And just say, I'm going to endgame you. And if rook a1, queen e2, suggested. Check here. Here maybe. For some checks. I don't know, maybe white just says like e7. Maybe just e7. No, e7. Yeah, e7. Yeah, the back rank is there. Check here, or even g4. But this one actually feels like white could have gone in more than this. Even though here white's up a pawn, maybe still doing well. Chess is so sharp. I'm like trying to make an evaluation. It's like, okay, white's up a pawn, but white could be winning after queen b2. White could be winning. The queen f3 check, king up. And then there's no more checks, guys. It's like I want to stop analyzing, but I can't because it's just like it's no more checks. But maybe queen b2, rook comes back. Then here, and then this I would think white's going to slowly squeeze black to death. This is probably winning, this 4v2 mass, and then white is super active and black's c-pawn is not going anywhere. This is probably really good chances, but I don't think this was all forced. Okay, so rook b7, very playable. Rook a1, queen e2. Michael asking how long to stick with one puzzle. You know, I don't know, 5-10 minutes probably is good enough. Don't torture yourself. Okay, Mishra here. Plenty of time to figure this out. Let's see, Fabi game against Mishra. We have updates. Let's watch this one. It's very, very interesting. h4, h6, bishop e3 played. Takes, king takes e3, saying you can't get me on the e file. Yeah, can Andy break through here? It's hard to envision how that might happen. Yeah, I think Bobby survived this. Queen c8. Is Fabi winning now? No. That's very doubtful. Short of a blunder, I don't see how he'll be winning here. Black's still up a queen. Queen c8 is interesting. Because he's poking around. So Andy very much still trying to win this game. Very much trying to win this game. Because you have to be really careful as white. If you allow the rook to get in, then I think you are losing really quickly. If black's queen gets into your business, it's going to be really bad. So this is still difficult for Fabi. Queen a6 is a threat. What to do? a4, queen a6, bishop b5. Queen b6 check. King f3, c6. So 2 minutes for Fabi. So if here, then queen a6 and check. And here. And then white loses. So it's like so easy for white to lose. So easy, actually. And if he has to pull the bishop back this way, then rook e8. And, okay, it's still conversion, but then black is at least getting his stuff out. Oh, is this the rook d8 idea? Maybe he had this queen c8. I mean, look, I've been saying it. Andy is very good at chess. The moves that he comes up with are often let's call them, I don't want to say best moves, but let's say most optimal moves given the situation. Kid sees everything. Now d5 with the idea of like sacking the exchange back, I didn't like, because in that final position, like white has 2 healthy rooks against the queen. That's exactly the kind of endgame that you could lose. Queen against 2 rooks where white's king is going to dance back and you don't have any huge targets with the queen or anything. So I wasn't really feeling that one. b5 is possible, but then the queen gets to the dark square. So you go queen b8, queen b6, queen c5, then this hangs, you start losing pawns. So Fabi under 1 minute, because this is a very difficult decision now. I'm not sure what he does. We should have been figuring this out, guys. Instead, we were just blabbing. The bishop d5, rook e8 check. Bishop b5, then c6. Very unpleasant move Andy just found. Queen c8. "30 seconds now for Fabi. Okay, goes king f3. So queen a6, what he wants. Queen a6 played. b5. Oh, okay. So Fabi, he's not negotiating with Andy the terrorist here. He's not negotiating. He's keeping the bishop on c6. He's keeping the rook out. This is probably pretty practical defense. This is probably the most practical, because it's like if you let that rook out, then I think you have a really hard time. Black's position becomes easier to play. Here, at least he keeps black's position difficult, keeps the rook locked up, and then maybe he still has chances for counterplay, right? Like rook e7, bishop d5, this kind of thing. You heard me, Dexter. Why didn't you just play b5 first, though? I'm not sure. Maybe it was similar. Chessburger TV, thanks for rating. Hello. We're watching U.S. Championships, critical game here. Caruana against Andy Woodward. I guess with king f3, what he does, I didn't realize, is he frees his bishop to go to d5. So maybe he felt more important to take the e-file first. Gives this pawn. Now bishop d5. Now at least he's still not letting the rook activate. And he can try to tie black down with rook e7. So queen c5, rook e7, rook f8, rook e1, and then white just tries to sit and say you have no good way of making progress. Yeah, I think it feels like Fabi's still kind of holding this. Dang, Fabi also good at chess. What is this, guys? I knew Andy was good at chess, but Fabi Caruana also good at chess today? Amazing. Amazing. What's my score against Andy? I've made 1 draw against Andy from a position of worse. I was worse. Actually, I swindled him in a draw really badly. And then the other 2 games he won. He crushed me. So 2 losses and a swindle draw. No problem, Dexter. I mean, I actually quite like the St. Louis coverage. I'm sorry you don't like it. I actually feel like they do. It's a lot of production value. It's a lot of production value. No, actually, I don't know. I think they do a great job, to be honest. You know, I mean, they're covering U.S. Championship, biggest event of the year. But of course, it's also nice to do our own, like, kind of more casual one. You know, I don't think we really compare it to the official broadcast. You know, I mean, here we're just hanging out, eating snacks, watching the games, calling Andy Woodward a terrorist. Look, I'm just saying he's defeating the 3-time U.S. champion, or he was trying to. Okay, he's very dangerous, guys. Very dangerous. Oh, King F8, Rook E8. That's interesting. That's interesting. King F8. I like King F8. Because if black trades off a pair of rooks, then I think it's really bad. Because white has like some blockading chances, but just feels like there's too many targets. And you have this break on the king side. It's still going to be a long game. So I feel like a question is just how much energy does Andy have? Does he have the energy to push and break Fabi? Because sometimes these endgames like aren't, let's say, objectively winning. But if you push, you can break your opponent. And so a lot of stronger players, they push and they like pose problems and they pose questions and they crack their opponent's defenses. That's why Magnus famously said he doesn't believe in fortresses, because it's like a lot of positions feel like a fortress, but if you go around and round and round in circles, eventually you can tire your opponent out and induce a mistake. So that'll be a question here. If Andy can do this to Fabi Caruana, if he can just like put aside who he's playing and I think he'll be able to. I think he'll be able to. Because he's had this like Grand Swiss experience. He had an amazing Grand Swiss. He beat Levon there. I think at this point, Andy knows like he can beat anyone in the world if he has a good position. So I think he's going to be pushing really hard. The other side of the coin is that, you know, you get nervous. You realize, okay, you have chances. You might be winning, so you get very nervous. How much risk is there for Andy? Not much, actually. It's like hard. Of course, you can imagine scenarios where white comes in with rook e7 and takes everything, but King f8, he's on top of it. King g2, Fabi played quickly. Notice he was almost expecting King f8, which is not a good sign, because if Fabi sees your move too, then okay. Clearly this is the move he was anticipating as a good move. And now rook e8 makes a lot of sense. And how do you hold the pawn? It's very hard. Like, okay, take. I guess you have check and here. So everything is defended. But then Sushan in the YouTube chat, you had this idea to go a5 or a6 and then c6, which I think is very interesting. This kind of breaks up white's blockade. Rook f3, f6. Still tricky, still tricky. Bishop c6 also, looking for mates. Or rook a1 before rook e8. here. Check. And then take this one. Yeah, this actually looks pretty... Okay, this is a scenario where white can win. Like bishop on d5 holds everything, rook takes c7. This is a scenario where white can win. In fact, here I think white's already doing well. So here, oh right, you could take here. Yeah, I lost the tempo for no reason. So take here. But still, how do you deal with this one? Queen needs to be on c5 for black to kind of keep pressing here. Though I don't quite see it. Yeah, this rook a1 seems like a very important resource for white. So maybe not rook e8. Maybe queen comes back first, or here, queen somewhere, and then slowly preparing rook e8. Or rook e8, rook a1, queen c5. Yeah. But then, okay, yeah, not so easy to see how black breaks through. What are my predictions for the round? Let's see. Oh, I just saw Oparin and Hans made a draw. This game, I think draw is kind of most likely. It feels like Fabi, his position seems solid enough that he, like, I don't quite see Andy cracking him here, but who knows? So far, Andy playing brilliant chess. Levon down a pawn. Levon down a pawn against Wonder Liang. This one probably a draw anyway, though. I feel like he takes. He goes here. Okay, goes here first. This should be a draw. Can Schwirtz shock Shankland? Let's see. Darius Schwirtz. That's Sham Shankland. Okay. This one hard to judge off the bat. Is black better? Just took on c3. Kind of feels like stuff is getting traded off. I don't know. Maybe black is no, but that one's defended. So rook takes b6 feels pretty equal. Feels pretty equal. I don't know, maybe rook c1, maybe there's some potential there. Maybe there's some tactics in the distant future I'm not totally anticipating. King h2, knight e4, knight e5, knight f2, check here, here. I don't know, that looks equal to me, guys. I don't know about you, that looks equal to me. Do you guys concur? It was like here, 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 check. And then I thought this was equal. Oh, but maybe black is first on the jump with like rook c4 or rook a1. Maybe rook a1 and black is first. I don't know, should be a draw. Let's say check, check. King somewhere, come here, and then like here, and white should make a draw. So I don't see it. To me, it feels like it's equal-ish, but maybe I'm missing something. But we're about to head into this variation, so I guess we're about to see. He's gonna take king h2. He doesn't necessarily have to go knight takes e4. You know, maybe black has rook c5, maybe. Tempting move. Rook c5, rook b5 though. Take a4, b6, a3, b7, knight d7, knight d2, a2, knight b3. Very unclear. Very unclear. So this one, this one. guess this black is better because king is closer to the pawns. And white has to deal with this a pawn. But this line looked very drawish to me. 94, 95. Oh, true. Maybe there's 95 here. Yeah, I'm not really being super thorough with the analysis, but just trying to get an idea of what's happening. Sushan, what are you doing? What are you doing to us? What are you doing? Guys, please, when we do commentary, you know, we try to do no engines, right? So there's like no spoilers. We ask you guys to do it too. Why? If you want to check with the engine, that's fine. It's just like, why then spoil it for everyone else? Why is that the instinct always? I just don't understand, guys. I just don't understand. Especially for those that have been watching the channel. You know, we try to avoid the engine spoilers. Is that not clear? Has that not been made clear? We put it in the title too, like no engines. You say sorry, but you already knew it was wrong. You were like, sorry to reveal. So it's like, you know it's wrong when you're doing it. It's like you already know it's bad, but you can't help it. Anyway, it's okay. It's okay. I forgive you. I forgive you. I just asked, you know, I just asked to stop hurting us. Okay, please stop hurting the dojo. Papa, I don't think it would help. I don't think it would help. People would still find a way. People always find a way. Brutal. Okay, so now we know. Now we're all on the same page, right? We don't want engine evals or engine comments, blah, 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 any of that stuff, right? Please keep it to yourselves. I mean, sometimes I like to check as well. It's just fun to, you know, watch without. And then if you don't want to have that fun, that's fine. But then why spoil it for everyone else? You know, what's that about? What's that about? Okay, 94, and then Darius played rook a1. Not taking f2. This allows white to take on f7. And then I guess he wants to take on a4 to at least keep the a pawn alive. To me, it feels pretty drawish. I know some people were saying the Darius was pressing. Maybe earlier he was, but this feels like very, very drawish. f3. f3, perhaps even more accurate. And then check and take. Yeah, they are playing our stream every once in a while in the playing hall. So that's another reason, guys, not to have engine comments, because the players can see your chat. They can see your chat. Can you imagine? Okay, let's see here. Tatev, Tatev doing okay? Actually, let me see. This is Tadev's game against Carissa. This one we haven't looked at too much because not the most exciting game. But here, G4, she just got F5. Take, and now... Do my eyes deceive me, or can white win a pawn here? Oh, she goes bishop D3. Wait, why didn't she take on D5, guys? Help me out. Why not knight takes D5? She started with bishop D3, but this just allows black... Oh, maybe she wants to take on B4, but still black can take on A2. Guys, without checking the engines, can anyone figure out why not knight takes D5? Okay, knight D5, bishop F5. Oh. Carissa's so tricky. Yeah, I think that explains it. And then knight F6, rook D4. Gracias. And then black would be, yeah, very much okay here. So bishop D3. So white keeps it solid. But the king is on G1, Fisher said. Yeah, sorry. I assumed you would have seen it. Yeah, king is on dark square. So yeah, knight D5, bishop F5, exactly. That was, I think, at least saving for black. Okay, Levon down a pawn. Levon still down a pawn. Mishra. I'm just checking in with some games, guys, we haven't seen in a little while. Mishra went rook D7 here. Queen E3, queen F5. He's going for the kill like this. Rook E2. Rook takes B7. But why not E7? Why not E7 here, guys? What's I missing? Oh, E7 he takes. Oh. Sevian. With the dirty tricks. And then black would be winning probably. So rook takes b7, h6, and now rook c7. He just wants to come back, and then so white's still in control here. Queen a3. Sevian been playing a lot of moves here on increment, 33 seconds, and it's only move 32, so he has 8 more moves to make. He's got 30 seconds. Okay, rook e1. Somehow white needs to organize a mating attack. Pull the bishop out, get the queen there. Something like this. Very insane prep by Mishra. Yeah. And also the way he's conducted the position, I feel like, is quite strong. These guys are really good at chess. I don't know if you guys knew that, but these guys are pretty serious. Okay, Fabi. What's going on with Fabi? So G6, Rook C2, Rook E8. Andy, now down to under 5 minutes. Wait, Rook E3, H5, Rook F3, F5, Rook E3 back. Now E5 played by Andy. E5. Okay, I'm expecting en passant. They are playing with en passant as well in this tournament. Sometimes they don't, but I think with this one they do have en passant turned on, so should be taking here any second. Yeah, I don't think he really has rook e6, queen takes f6 probably. So takes, and then what does Andy want? Queen c5, c6, or we're gonna just take back probably. Yeah, some tournaments don't have it. Like if you look at Grand Swiss, there was no en passant because it was turned off for the event. So some events don't have it. Okay, this one, yeah, they have it. I think maybe he checked with the arbiter just to make sure. Okay, it's legal. Yeah, takes. And some tournaments it's forced. It's straight up forced. So it's like you always have to. We always tell beginners like you have to check the regulations before you in the tournament. Ricky 6. Queen a4. I mean, this one's getting like feisty. G6 is falling. I don't know if he could really defend it because King G7, Rook E7 check. I mean, at this point, I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like maybe he just didn't want to repeat. Maybe white starts with F4 even. Funny. Okay, Queen A4. 25 seconds for Fabi, guys. 25 seconds. So he can take the pawn. He takes C6. Ah, C6. That's Andy's idea. Andy's still trying to win this. Bishop E6. No, Bishop F3. Fabi pulls back. Keeps his eye on all these pawns. Ah, I like Bishop F3 because now he can maybe coordinate. But Queen C4, Rook D6, and C5. Bishop takes H5. Yeah, this could go wrong for Andy. Like if he loses one too many pawns here, you know, white gets this like perfect kind of crystallized construction, and then imagine all the pawns come off and he gets rook G. Like that would just be losing. Like if we trade the queen side off, white gets rook G5. Basically very difficult. This is very tricky for black now. Yeah, Andy needs to be extremely careful here. I do not like it. I don't like it. Oh man, Bishop F3. Dude, very sick move Fabi found. I feel like I would have only been anticipating Bishop E6, like you know, like an idiot. Like, oh, I have to defend Thipa. It's like an absolute idiot. But no, just Bishop F3. And now the rook does all the work, and the rook just needs to, you know, hit some defended squares. If someone can make a draw here for black, I'd feel a lot better for Andy right now. If we could just make it, if we just make it a draw. It's like, everything is hanging. Oh, I don't like this. I mean, good for Fabi, go Fabi, but not great for Andy. Great for Andy. King E7 maybe. Yeah, like you gotta hold on to the queen side, keep it dynamic. I like King E7. King E7 and offer draw. Even though draw is not allowed, but just like try to psych him out. King e7 played. Okay, good job, Andy. Good job, Fisher Seb. Rook check. Okay, Fabi sensing his chance here. But why not king f6 now? Does he want here? But then c5. We defend everything on dark squares. Bishop d5 maybe. And then trying to play for f4. I think king f6 is coming. But yeah, the pawns get very fixed, so it's really nerve-wracking here for black. Yeah, at some point, I think I already take white here. I think I already take white. Andy, I feel like he got a little bit too excited. He won the queen, and then it's just like he didn't get it in the best possible way, and oof. Oof. Was c5 possible after king e7? Yeah, no, it looks possible. I don't know. Definitely a possibility. Maybe d5. And then try to... Yeah, no, fantastic defense from Fabi. I mean, the dude is good. King f6, rook d7, then king e5, I think. At this point, I feel like black should be kind of happy to make a draw because like it's so easy to get into a situation where you lose one pawn and then the rook in the bit. The thing is, white has two pieces against the queen, right? So technically, white's up a piece. If these two attack something together, the queen cannot defend it with all of her power. So it's very scary here for black. Very, very scary. Still double-edged. I mean, white can also go crazy trying to win this and then lose. What is this classical? Blind Bandit. This is the U.S. Chess Championship. My friend, this is the U.S. Championship. It's like biggest tournament of the year. Yes, it's classical. It's classical chess. They're playing for the title. This is not just some random chess.com title Tuesday, you know. The US Championship. They are on move 40, actually. So black just has to make one more move to make the time control. And they're going to get another 30 minutes here. So a lot of players hitting the time control here. Okay, one more move from Andy. I assume he's going to play king f6. Let's just stick with him until he makes his 40th move here. And we'll see what's going on other boards. King d8 played. Ah, so he defends some squares against the rook. Rook g5. Whoa, that's move 41. So he just played this quickly too. He's not even using his time. Oh man, this endgame is going to get hot. Because black can take here and here. He's going to take here and here. Guys, what chapter was that in Dvoretsky? Rook bishop and 3 against queen and 2. think it's a draw with best play, right? But it's like better chances for the queen n2. Someone remembers. What's that endgame? Rook bishop n3 against queen n2. I think it's a draw. If they trade these pawns, very sharp. Very sharp. But feels like black is kind of, I don't know, I would think black is the one that's, like, you imagine, okay, here, for instance, they're going to think here, let's say here and here. And just as an example, right, if black runs this pawn down, and then white has to give up the bishop for it, and then black runs this pawn down, and then white has to give up the rook. So very hard to say. I don't know, here maybe. So it's like, yeah, it's very double-edged. I mean, like all three results possible here. Also, he could take, yeah, and then check, and this would be pretty easy draw. Just put the rook somewhere. Move the king up and down. Yeah, so I don't think Fabi is really risking right now. I would probably rather have white here. I'd rather have white. 2 pieces against 1, you know? It's easier to play. Yeah, he played rook g5 very fast, but what other move does he really have? Yeah, I think he wants to keep the bishop on f3 and then have the rook do the dirty work. Maybe rook g6 is also tempting, but maybe, I think at this point, actually, Fabi might also think he's not really worse here, because he could have thought about it. He could have played rook g6 to presumably, you know, repeat the position. Maybe there's not much point to it. So I feel like at this point he's to me it seems like he doesn't think he's risking with rook to g5 because he played it rather quickly. I think if he had options there, then he would have spent more time. Or he thinks rook g5 is the only move, win, lose, or draw, so he just plays it. He might think he's worse, but he still has to go rook g5. I'm not really sure. Okay, let's see. Levant down a pawn. Levant still down a pawn against the Wonder, who has some chances here because white's king side is a little bit loose. I wanted to see, come back to this Anna game. Anna Sargsyan against Irina Krush. Okay, there was a lot of drama in this game, clearly, but this here looks kind of decent for white. I feel like she has a lot of potential against black's king. Shankland actually up a pawn, or about to be, from what I can see. So Shankland gonna maybe try to convert this. Ray. Whoa. Very sharp endgame here against Wesley So. Oh, but this is hanging. I don't know. Maybe this is kind of drawish after bishop takes c5. Mishra. Mishra won the c pawn. And he's kept his bishop on f7. Rooks got traded. So Mishra, if he wins this would be like such an interesting game that he won, where he just like sacks the exchange, he gets this construction, and then just like goes round and round and eventually wins with this. That would be really interesting. Carissa Yip game. Carissa, this one was looking still pretty equal-ish, though could easily go either way. Though this one's still very much a fight. Actually, I was curious about a couple of their games in the women's. Oh, Alice Lee already won against Jennifer Yu. Let's see how Alice won. Wow. Should B2, queen C2. It looks like Alice bounced back after yesterday's first round loss to Irina. 97. Rook E5. Ooh, takes. Queen F5. Alice found some very nice attacking moves here. And that's it. Jennifer just resigned because now it's there's too many threats in the position. Everything's hanging. And this also is hanging. So nice game by Alice. Anna Zatonsky drew with Megan Paragua. Tusa lost to Nazi. Looks like Nazi won. Also friend of the dojo. Nazi Paikidze. Let's see how she managed to outplay. This was Caro Khan. We saw this line in, okay, similar, this Queen A6 thing in round 1 between the Sams. Sevian against Shankland, which I think ended in a draw. Looks like Black got C5 in, 94. Takes on G5. And this G-pawn ended up getting picked off. Going knight f5 first, you avoid the c4 line. Yeah, I'm not an expert here, so I don't know the nuances. I guess. Oh, okay. So here, yeah, there's no c4. Nazi, I think, very experienced Caro Khan player. I feel like she knows her stuff here really well. So here, okay, Black is just up a pawn. White gets the pawn back though, and doubles on the 7th. But Black has this h4 coming, which is very annoying. Oh, g5 even, stopping Queen f4. Rook h6. And White just couldn't find a way to create counterplay, and now Black's play is very strong. h3. If takes, then Queen d1 mates. Oh, nice. And then second rook comes in, Queen f5, and mating. And then this was resigns. Wow, very nice game. Very nice game. It's King f2, Rook h2. And then mate on e2 or on e4. Fantastic game from Nazi. So she's doing well. She's got 1.5 out of 2. Rose game. Rose playing Talia. Looks like extra exchange for Rose. Decent chances. Decent chances here for White, I think, to win this. The rooks are pretty active, and she's got passers on the queen side. So go Rose. Okay, let's check in. Where's Fabi game? Fabi game. Fabi game. Here we go. Oh, f4 play. Rook g5, f4. Dang, Andy. Trying not to lose all his pawns. Open up White's king. I think this is a very logical move. Our chat, someone in chat suggested this. I think very, very logical. Makes sense. He can still take here, but first he wants to give up one of his weaknesses, trade it off. Thank you for following Smarter Things. Folks, I think I'm going to have to run here soon. So it might be the end of our commentary for today. But thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Helping with the analysis. Always fun to watch the games live with people. I'm sad we're not going to see the end of this game, actually. This one could be like... Fabi could still win this. He might lose this too. I think either way, it's going to be very... very double-edged. Yeah, so I'm a bit bummed we won't be able to see the end of it. I think today was a holiday, but I think starting tomorrow and for the rest of the weekdays, David will be able to join me. and maybe even take over at this point when I've got to get going. But yeah, for now I think we'll raid St. Louis here in a bit, and you guys can watch the rest of the round with them. They might have some engines on, just so you guys are aware, just so you guys are prepared. We can get an umbrella guy to cover the. Ah, funny, so funny. But yeah, enjoy the rest of this game. What do you guys think is gonna happen here? Any predictions before we wrap it up? Do you guys think Fabi wins this? Draw? Andy wins this? What are y'all's predictions? Draw by perpetual. Fabi easily clears. I think draw. Take black. Predict the result. Yeah, I don't know. I think draw is most likely. I feel like the pawns will get liquidated and eventually the players will find some fortress, but I don't know. It could go either way. Oh, we just played g4. Oh, that's so sharp. That's such a sharp move. Oh, Fabi's like, I want to win. He's like, I didn't get checkmated. I want to win. Oh, man. G4. Takes, rook takes, queen c4, h5, maximum contempt. Exactly. I don't know. I mean, he's only gonna have one pawn. He's only gonna have one pawn, guys. Whoa. Why are we so afraid? Is this pawn really so scary? Here. Ooh, I don't know. Fabi might take this one. Okay, folks, I'm off. Thank you for following. Probably back tomorrow. More coverage. U.S. Championship. U.S. Women's Championship. We continue to root for some of our friends here at the dojo, although it might not be a great day for someone else. But go Andy. Go Andy. What a great game. Really showing he's not afraid of anyone. Alrighty, folks. I'll send the raid here to St. Louis. You guys can watch the rest of the round there. And I'll catch you all next time. Take it easy, y'all. Have a good one. YouTube, we won't raid. We're just going to be ending the stream. So if you want to join the raid, head on over to the St. Louis stream. That's where the dojoers will be. Alrighty, folks. Take it easy.